go ahead and let's get into ranking the playoff teams. We got to go, all right? We got 14 teams out of 10.
14,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
We got 14 teams. We usually do a top 10, but there's 14 playoff teams. So what's 14?
Yeah, we'll just do all 14 at that point.
Well, of course, if you are new here, we start at 14 or 10 usually and go to 1 just because, well, there's not really any suspense. Nobody really is suspenseful for the last 2 teams. Nobody cares. Top 2, people want to know.
Yeah.
So number 14, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's coming from Steelers fans. They easily, I don't want to say easily, Mason Rudolph's been playing decent football, but they have the worst quarterback left in the dance. I don't think that's much of a, is that much of a debate?
No.
I don't think so. They have probably the weakest offense left in the playoffs. The Eagles are testing that right now, but even the Eagles on a bad day can put up 30. And I just don't trust. They're good, and they have some veterans in spots, but they're also very young in spots. Receiver, offensive line, running back. They're young in spots. Mason Rudolph hasn't started a playoff game in his career, so that is also an issue to look forward to. And going to Buffalo, they get a tough matchup. I just don't see it aging very well for Pittsburgh. I think it's a great season that they even got in. But I think there's an argument maybe you sell high on Tomlin after the season, pivot. I think they're one and done in the playoffs.
Yeah, this is not a year where they win. It's a Buffalo team. This time of the year, Buffalo's catching their stride. They have been one of the best teams for, the last...
I told you Buffalo's my Super Bowl pick. We'll see if that pans out. But
it's just, I don't understand how people... I've seen analysts all over the place, and especially the Pittsburgh local analysts saying, that they have a chance or that they're a top playoff team. Please, they snuck in by the skin of their teeth.
Now, they are feisty, but don't get that confused with good.
With top talent.
Yes.
That's not that.
Yeah, I would agree. Number 13, the Green Bay Packers. Now, I think there's an argument that they're one of the more talented teams. There's an argument they're top 7 or 8 in terms of talent, but they're all kids.
Yeah.
Jordan Love's 11 starts into his career. His receivers are 22 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's I think they're very talented. I think they're really fun to watch. I think they're going to be scrappy in that game. I think it's going to stay close for about 2.5, 3 quarters, and I think Dallas is going to pull away. I just don't think they're ready yet. We see young teams all the time unable to kind of hang in those big playoff moments. I think once this game gets tight down the stretch, third quarter, early fourth quarter, I think you're going to see them start to make some mistakes.
Yeah.
I think they're very good. They're very talented. I think you should look for them for the next 2 to 3 years. This year, I think they're too young.
Yeah, running the football might be their strength. They have a pretty damn good running
A.J.
game.
Dillon, Aaron Jones, yeah.
They got a good 1-2 punch there, but outside of that, they're definitely more talented than Pittsburgh.
They just like the experience.
But they are right on the cusp of being the 14th team there.
Yeah. Number 12, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, that might be a surprise to some people. They are a wounded deer coming in. I think they probably have the weakest head coach in the playoffs. I think Nick Sirianni is absolutely steaming hot garbage. I think he's awful. The team is leaking oil. And it's a tell that when the team gets worse the longer that you've been there, that's an indictment on coaching. I'm sorry, I won't hear an argument against it. That's why I'm for them pivoting off Tomlin. Every single year, we regress a little bit.
Yeah.
Offense gets worse every single year, especially removed from Big Ben. Same thing can be said for the Eagles. They have regressed mightily this year. Right. They're not a good football team. I don't trust Jalen Hurts to protect the football. The offensive line's regressing. They don't run the football with enough conviction. And that defense is the worst in the playoffs, 12, the Eagles.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I have watched them just plummet down, or the rankings. For a while, they were one of the best teams in football. We had
them at number 1 at one point.
Yeah, we had them in the top 3 for I think 2 or 3 rankings in a row. So, to watch them fall all the way down to 12, does it hurt? Yeah. But is it the most realistic and truthful observation on the Eagles? Yes.
I would agree. I think actually both Pennsylvania teams have an argument to sell high on your head coach. Not that Sirianni is at a high right now, but he's still a winning coach.
Right.
There's an argument. Anyway, at number 11, I think the team that's very much can beat the Eagles, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think at home, if Baker wasn't limping, I would say it's a runaway game for the Bucs. I think the Bucs win by 2 touchdowns if Baker's not limping. He's hurt. They've had some injuries. That's why I think it stays closer. We'll get into predictions later, but I think this is a coin flip of a game, 11 and 12, and so the Bucs here land at 11.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Baker has been
I'm giving
good.
him a slight edge because right now I think Baker's a better quarterback.
I think so too. And even though they're both banged up, I think he's the healthier one. We'll get to it in predictions.
Slightly healthier, yeah. Because it's not his throwing finger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Baker's not a mobile quarterback. I don't care if his ankle's rolled.
Right.
Right? Jalen can't throw.
That's pretty important for a quarterback.
I would say. Number 10, the Houston Texans. I think C.J. Stroud is a stud. I think D'Amico Ryans is a really real. I'm not a huge defensive coach guy, but if it's a young defensive coach that understands the urgency of offense, that understands, hey, I need to get a young, bright mind, Bobby Slowick, and just give him the offense. D'Amico just says, hey, CJ and Bobby, go make the offense great. I'll take care of this stuff over here. So he's a really, really good head coach so far. C.J. Stroud's been fantastic. You knew exactly what team this was when first play of the game, play action, 75 yards, Nico Collins to the house.
Yeah.
That's the type of team this is. They're going to go for it. They're aggressive. They're young. They're fast. I worry a little bit about youth, but they've been really good in big spots so far this year. So I've seen them be good in big spots. I don't worry as much about the youth as I do maybe the Packers, but the Texans at 10.
And oh boy, does this make me happy. I love C.J. Stroud. I've been on the C.J. Stroud train since
before the draft.
2 or 3.
Since the draft, though. Yeah, you thought he was better than Bryce Young.
And he's proving to be the best quarterback from that class. I mean, just in your rookie year, to lead a team and have the ranking of top 10 teams in the playoffs is accredited enough. Now, I think they're going to go ahead and possibly win a game. Now,
it's going to be close.
It's tough. You will see who we're picking next, but I think this is one of the closest games. Was my argument for game of the week.
I think it's the second best game of the weekend. I really do. Number 9, Miami. I don't trust their physicality. I don't trust the back end of their defense. But at the end of the day, they have really good receivers, a more than capable offensive line, a more than capable quarterback. I love their head coach. When needed, they can get pressure on the quarterback. So I think Miami has a lot of things I like, but it's Miami at the end of the day. When has Miami showed up in a big spot over the last 2 decades? Let me help you out. Absolutely never. The last time they were in the playoffs, Bud Dupree almost killed Matt Moore. You know what I mean? Or no, it's not last time because they were in there last year, but a couple years ago, remember when the Steelers played them at home, right? So I just don't trust Miami in a big spot, especially going on the road. It's supposed to be single digits at Arrowhead. Don't love that for Miami. They're good. I don't know how many playoff games they can win. If they get hot, look out, but they're going to have to go on the road to cold weather cities, and I don't love that for them.
I think the potential of a Mike McDaniel in this spot is huge. I think this is going to be a big for him. And this is kind of where you have to prove yourself, especially as a very smart, young, up-and-coming genius of a head coach. Like, you have to have some stuff in the bag that you've been saving all season to pull out here, because you know the Chiefs have. So
yeah,
you're going to have to match that. This is another interesting one. I like the Dolphins at 9.
We'll see.
I think they hang around.
All right, fair enough. Number 8, the Los Angeles Rams. I just think they do so much well. I mean, they can run the football with Kyron Williams. They have 2 really good receivers that are great at the catch point, great at the top of the route.
Yep.
Matt Stafford slings it better than almost anybody in football. He's one of the most underrated quarterbacks. I think Sean McVay is a top 3 head coach. I know the defense is spotty. Okay, everybody's got a weakness. I still think in spots the defense can be really, really good. Sean McVay, again, is fantastic. I think the Rams are one of the more underrated teams. And believe it or not, and I'll get into this for prediction, they're 7-1 since the bye. That's a good team. That's a really good football team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess Rams at 8.
Rams at 8 makes a lot of sense. They just, you can't argue the talent. You can't.
Especially offensively.
You can sit there, you can nitpick, but in the playoffs, Sean McVay, great quarterback,
Matt Staff, yep.
Damn good weapons. You can't argue with that.
Yeah, I would agree. Kansas City at number 7. Look, I think the Chiefs, a bit of a sleeping giant. This seems low for them, but I think it should feel low for them. They haven't been playing great football. Now, I think the defense is spectacular. I mean, they're 4th against the pass. They're like 8th against the run. They're really good in terms of turnovers. Like, I just think the Chiefs are a really good defense, and I think that's going to get them the first round win. We'll see going forward. They're not the team, of last year, the year before, 2 years ago, but they're still a good team deserving of a top 7 bid.
Yeah, I could even argue that maybe 7's even a little high for how they've played this year.
I think that's fair.
I think
that's fair. Like, but at any point, Mahomes could be Mahomes.
It's almost like Apple or like a big blue chip company where the name, the brand itself is going to garner enough value to be high up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Their stock's never going to plummet.
No, it's just, I think this might be a little bit of a false high for the Chiefs.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm not sure.
We'll see. Number 6, the Cleveland Browns. Joe Flacco is playing real quarterback, big boy NFL football.
Joe Shiesty.
I like their run game. Their offensive line, despite starting a bunch of backups, is really good. They have the coach of the year, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Defense is great, despite Myles Garrett being, MIA. The Cleveland Browns are a good football team, and somebody that I would be shaking in my boots to play them, especially first round. Good luck, Houston. Cleveland at 6.
Yeah. This is a dark horse team. This is a team that I think could beat anybody in the AFC.
With Joe Flacco, they have such great experience at quarterback.
And you see what happens when that team gets an infusion of a real quarterback.
Yeah.
Of a quarterback that knows how to play football, knows the game.
Grown up in the room.
That's why you go get a veteran that doesn't have 66 allegations against him.
Couldn't agree more. Number 5, the Dallas Cowboys. I don't trust their run game in big spots, but good defense, good pass rush. At any given time could put up 40. I think CeeDee Lamb's a top 5 wide receiver in football. I think Dak at this point this year is playing like a top 5 quarterback. We can argue about Mike McCarthy, but he wins 12 games like it's his job, because it is his job. I mean, he's been ultra consistent winning 12 games. Do I have some concerns late game in the playoffs? Yes, I do. That's why they're not higher, because I think talent-wise and how they perform, that's a top 3 team. I have reservations about them down the stretch in the playoffs. I'll get Dallas Cowboys at 5.
The Dallas Cowboy fan base, this is our year fan base, get it tattooed on my arm before it happens fan base.
We'll see.
This might be your year.
Might be.
Out of all of the years that you've said this is our year, this is the most logical year for it to be your year.
Might be.
Big emphasis on the might.
Yeah, might, because I think number 4, the Detroit Lions, are actually a better football team. I know you just beat them, because I know we're going to get a bunch of jabroni Cowboys fans. We just beat them 2 weeks ago. Great, good for you. An awful call by a referee saved your ass. I mean, you guys got outplayed for 3.5 quarters. I don't want to hear it. I think Detroit's a better football team. They run the ball more consistently. I think Jared Goff's right up there with Dak. Weapons are about equal. I don't think they have the caliber of a CeeDee Lamb, but I think overall, top to bottom, tight end, wide receiver, number 2 wide receiver, I think they're right up there with the Cowboys. Lions, I think, are a better team. I think they're at 4.
Yeah, the defense is the only thing that worries me a little bit.
Yeah, on the back end, they can get got a little bit, but they have a decent pass rush, so hopefully that can come to play in the playoffs.
Right, because that'll cover up the holes that you have in that back end.
Yeah, I would agree. Number 3, the Buffalo Bills. This is my pick for the Super Bowl, and I'm sticking with it. I think Josh Allen is Superman. I don't think it's going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty, actually. He's going to turn the ball over. They're not going to be able to run the ball in spurts. They're going to get burned on the back end because they're missing some guys. It's not going to be pretty. But Josh Allen is Superman down the stretch. Fourth quarter, when it matters most, he is at his best. Buffalo at 3.
Love it. I can't argue with that.
San Francisco at 2. I think it's the best overall roster in football. The only concern is if they get behind. But this is on Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. Kyle Shanahan's never won a game being behind by more than 10 points. So it's like, can they win from behind? Because at some point in the playoffs or the Super Bowl, I would imagine you're going to be behind. Can you fight back? I don't know. But in terms of overall top to bottom roster, it's a fantastic team, a really, really good head coach. San Francisco at 2.
Love it. The talent.
Yeah, number 1, Baltimore, because they have all of the things that San Francisco has, but they have an MVP at quarterback. A true MVP at quarterback.
MVP.
Somebody that's worth 10 points a game at quarterback, Lamar Jackson, and that is the Ravens at 1. Let's run back through it. Ravens, Niners, Bills, Lions, Cowboys in the top 5. Browns, Chiefs, Rams, Dolphins, Texans to round out the top 10. Bucks, Eagles, Packers, and Steelers as the bottom feeders, bottom 4. Those are our top 14, or I guess just the playoff teams ranked 1 through 14.
Gotta love it. All right, so now